Thomas, I don't got all day here. Let's get a move on.
I've played a pretty limited number of horror games in my lifetime. When I want to be scared, I usually don't want to be in control because I feel like I'm going to mess up and get myself killed. But once in a while, there comes a game in the genre that catches my attention. The Suffering games were some of the most horrifying I've ever seen, and today we have a very interesting beast. A game that mixes the on-edge tension of traditional survival horror with investigation similar to LA Noire. And yes, it is actually pretty scary. This is Condemned: Criminal Origins for the 360. Condemned: Criminal Origins puts you in the role of a detective named Ethan Thomas. As you're investigating an extremely grisly murder scene, you realize that the murderer is actually still on the premises. After chasing him through a series of floors and buildings, he steals your gun and eventually kills both of your partners before tossing you out a window. Because it's your gun, of course, the police department assumes that you're responsible for the murders, and this creates an interesting situation for the game. Not only are you trying to track down the killer, you're on the run from your own department, who seem to fully believe that you're the man responsible. The pacing of these events is especially well done. It's very slow, but there's quick little bursts of action in between. Gameplay in Criminal Origins is a bit strange. It's from a first-person perspective, and although you start out with a pistol at the beginning, it's actually very rare for a gun to pop up. Instead, you have to improvise with sledgehammers, pipes, axes, and even your own taser to attack enemies, who appear to behave like drugged-out lunatics struggling to regain their own sanity. Out of all the elements of Condemned, I found combat to probably be the weakest. Blocking is especially hard to time, and whenever you hit an enemy, they almost always launch this massive strike right back that makes it hard to string a few hits together. This is why it's especially important actually to use ammo wisely, because a shot to the chest can end encounters that might otherwise get you killed. Like I said, the game also uses some detective elements to move the story forward, but these are pretty bare bones. It's usually just a scan an item, then call your friend at the lab scenario. Now, I mentioned in the past that I'm not a fan of games that just scare you by startling you around a corner, and thankfully this game doesn't do that. You'll usually see an enemy running to a spot to ambush you from, but won't actually see if they get there, setting up some tense moments. Sound effects also let you know that something's up, and the limited light in some areas also means that you'll have to search every corner to make sure that no one is about to sneak up on you. Condemned was a very, very early 360 game, and it's sometimes painfully obvious by looking at it. Faces lack any sort of emotion or detail, and some of the in-game effects look really fake. Voice acting, on the other hand, is actually excellent. Everyone I encountered gave a great performance, even minor characters. Condemned: Criminal Origins suffers some problems associated with first-person games focusing on melee combat, but it's still a very interesting and fairly scary game. For best effects, I'd play this one by yourself.